Veto's ultimate makes him immune to all forms of debuffs in Valorant, but what does that mean for your favorite agent? So I will be taking a look at every single agent in this video, but the first thing I wanted to point out as more of a general fact is that you can actually clear status effects with this ultimate. So if I get hit by the stun and then use my ultimate, it does get rid of that effect. So that'll also apply to things like vulnerables and decays, and of course you get healing in this ultimate as well. So just like yesterday, we'll go alphabetically and start off with Astra. The most obvious ones are going to be with her stun and her pull. So first of all, if I try and stun this guy, obviously not going to get stuns. And also if you try to pull him, actually I probably shouldn't have put it that close. But if I try and pull him, he does not get affected by that whatsoever. So that is actually going to mean that if you plant the bomb as Astra and try and, pull someone off like you normally do, if that someone is a Veto in his ultimate, as you can see there, he is simply not going to get pulled off the bomb. I did see someone wondering if you could hear through Astra's ultimate while in Veto's evolution, which is an interesting question, but no, you still can't hear through Astra's wall, as you can see there. Breach is next, and this is actually going to be almost the complete opposite to the Interceptor, because Veto's Interceptor can't destroy any of Breach's utilities, so you'd think that makes Breach a good counter to him, and it sort of does, but with Veto's ultimate, he cannot get affected by anything Breach does. So there's the Aftershock, nothing happens. If I try and stun him, nothing happens. If I ult him, you can see he doesn't even move. He doesn't even get thrown up into the air. So that will be the same as Astra. You can't ult him off the bomb. And of course, you can't blind him either. So none of Breach's utility will affect Veto in his ultimate. For Brimstone, the only relevant ones are going to be his molly and his orbital strike. If I put the molly in him right there, you can see he glows. Wait, he actually makes a sound as well. I haven't heard that so far with anything else, so I guess if he is meant to take damage to something, he will make a sound that you can hear. That's actually going to be really important when he's sticking the bomb through a lineup. That's a cool detail to add actually. So I'm just going to play that one more time. Oh. Wait, you can only hear it if you can see him, which I feel like is interesting. I feel like you should be able to hear it regardless, but I didn't know that. It's going to be the same thing with his ultimate. Completely tanks it, even if it's right on his head. You can see there, he's completely unscathed. And in case you're wondering what Veto's POV looks like when he gets ultimate by Brimstone, let's have a look here. You can't see anything, but you take absolutely no damage. Chamber is an interesting one. This is our first trip so far into Veto's ultimate. So you can see right here, if I place the trip there, once it turns on, it will activate and hit Veto, but then he is not affected by the slow whatsoever. You can see he just walks around at the normal movement speed. However, Chamber's guns will be able to kill Veto in his ultimate, like you can see right there. Of course, that will be the same thing with his ultimate too. Kills Veto. And then once again, you can see completely normal movement speed in that slow. Clove, there isn't going to be too much to test here. Just the metal, or like so. And he is not going to get decayed at all, so he will still be at full health. So Cypher is going to have a few different things to test. First of all, we will just put a tripwire down on the ground, and then you can see he will walk through it. He will set the trap off, but he doesn't get slowed, nor does he get stunned by it. So if I leave that same trip on the floor and just come over here through the wall and see if we can see him.
Careful now.
No, so we can see the trip go off, and we know that someone hit the trip, but he doesn't get revealed through the wall like he normally would. Now let's see if I try and tag him with the camera. I imagine it'll be the same thing. Yeah, it doesn't even play the sound as if you actually hit someone, and he won't get revealed by Cypher's cam. If he's in the cage, let's see if he still makes the noise going in and out of the cage. So we'll get him to walk forward, and yes, you still make the noise going in and out of Cypher's cage. And then unfortunately in this custom, I can't check Cypher's ultimate. Like even if I turn auto respawn off and then kill him and then try and ult, there's no one to ult. I'm fairly confident that Cypher ult wouldn't reveal Veto in evolution, but I can't 100% confirm it. Let's have a look at Deadlock now. So we'll get a full setup going on this guy. We've got a stun on him, wall him off, net him. No, he will not get netted. Ult him. No, he does not get caught by the ultimate. Didn't miss. Yeah, doesn't get caught by the ultimate. If he jumps, the sound sensor will not stun him. But in case you're wondering, at the very least, he cannot walk through Deadlock's wall in his ultimate. Now, some of Fade's interactions are actually pretty crazy to me. And the most interesting one is that Fade's eye doesn't reveal Veto at all. It doesn't matter how far away it is, unlike the Interceptor. Any range or distance, okay, that doesn't even see him, but any range or distance, you will not get revealed by Fade's eye in Veto's ultimate. And then same thing for the C's, not going to get grabbed by it. The Prowler at the very least does detect him and latch onto him, so you can find him with it, but as you can see there, it doesn't give him the normal near side effect that you would get from a Prowler. And then lastly, let's see Fade's ultimate. Throw it at him there. You don't even get the sound to indicate that you hit someone. So if you're on a 1v1 and you ult somewhere, you will have no information as to whether the Veto is actually there or not if he ulted. Alright, we've got Gekko now, so I'll test off his mosh first. I imagine this will just be the same as Brimstone. So again, he is going to make that noise. And then if we try and throw a Dizzy... Interesting, so Dizzy will actually detect him and try and flash him, but he won't get flashed, of course. And then the Wingman will just be the same as a Fade Prowler. It will detect him and try and hit him, but Veto will not get hit by the stun. Then last but not least, that leaves us with Thrash, and you can try all you want. You will not be able to detain him in his ultimate. Okay, so taking a look at Harbor now, and I think the main one to test is going to be his ultimate. So I'll send it there, and yeah, so it will tell you that it's there, and send the spiral down from the sky. But as you can see, it will not actually stun him. I guess the only other thing to take a look at is the slow from Harbor's walls. Obviously, normally you're just going to be slowed when you walk through. But here you can see, I mean, he already looks slow because he has an Odin. But no, he is not going to get slowed by Harbor's walls whatsoever. Okay, with ISO, the main thing to test is going to be the interaction between these two ultimates. And it's important to note that you can't react fast enough on Veto to dodge ISO's ultimate. So we'll see here, even if I pop Veto's ultimate a tiny bit earlier than mine, so that's what I'll do here. Veto went first and then I ulted. It still hits him, and I still get him in my ultimate, like you can see right there. However, if Veto is already in his ultimate from earlier in the round, you will not be able to capture him as ISO. So it's important to note the difference there. Veto can't react to ISO ultimate and dodge it, but if it's already ulted, he won't get taken. So while I'm thinking of dodging ults, that also meant with Deadlock earlier, you can probably react to her voice line and dodge it, but if you wait until the cocoon is actually hitting you, it would be too late. And again, I think this is our first suppress, and you can see right there, Veto does not get suppressed in evolution. Moving on to Jett now, and the only thing to really show off here is her Jett knives, and they will be able to kill Veto in his ultimate. I think some people are confused about that, because it is a pretty fine line between like Jett's knives and then Neon's ultimate and then Raze's ultimate. The way that I think of it that makes sense to me is that the actual weapons and hit scan guns like Jett's knives do work and can kill him. Then same goes with the Chambers guns, and as you'll see later, Neon's ultimate, but not Raze's ultimate because it's more of a damage dealing ability rather than an actual weapon and a hit scan thing. Like, I don't know if that makes sense to me, but some people are still confused about that one. We've got KO now, and the first thing I want to check is what happens if you ultimate on both of them at the same time, because I believe Veto's pops a little bit faster. No, actually, it doesn't look like it. I tried to use them at the exact same time there, and you can see that Veto, it played his voice line, but he is now suppressed and not in his ultimate. I do wonder if that means you can counter him with KO, like if you hear him ult and then use yours. Nah, so you can't react to Veto as a KO and cancel his ultimate. But from what I saw there, it looks like if you ult at the same time, KO would actually go first and potentially remove Veto's ultimate. Because again, one more time, if I pop them at the exact same time, you can see we hear his voice line and he uses his ultimate, but he does not actually turn. He should be able to react to a KO knife though, I think. So if I throw a knife and then he ults... No, again, actually. So KO, if you can get the timing right, you can potentially cancel his ultimate. You saw right there, if he reacted too late, the knife is possible. Although realistically, the KO knife is pretty loud, so he would probably hear it coming and be able to ultimate first and beat it, then not get suppressed in that case. But you can see with some of these interactions with KO so far, there is a little bit of leeway on the timing. And then the other ones are sort of obvious. KO molly, not going to damage him whatsoever. And then KO flash, I'll just see if I can pop it somewhere that's not going to get me. Doesn't get blinded by KO. Now, Killjoy is actually one that I'm really interested to see, because someone commented asking me if Killjoy's turret would damage him, and I've actually got no idea. So let's take a look here. It will definitely detect him and shoot him, and I can tell you for a fact that he is taking that damage. So I'll just let it go for a second so you can see him die. Yes, he does take damage to Killjoy's turret. Now, I'll take that back for a second. If I put an alarm bot down in front of him, you can see the alarm bot hits him and detects him, but he will not get the vulnerable effect. If I place down a nanoswarm, he is not going to die to that. He takes no damage. And of course, for the lockdown, we'll have to wait all the way until it pops here. But as you can see, he is not going to get detained. So Neon is going to be nothing with the wall and slide, obviously, but the stun will get completely countered. You can't stun him. And then, like I said earlier, Neon's ultimate can actually kill Veto in evolution. Again, like I said with the Jett, that's just because it is a hit scan and instantly hits him. It's more of a weapon than a damage dealing ability. So that's how that interaction is going to work. For Omen, there is only going to be one interaction here. That's going to be Omen's blind, and you can see you cannot near sight Veto in evolution. For Phoenix, he will of course take no damage to his damage dealing abilities. So we can put the molly there, and we can put the wall there. He doesn't care about the fire. And then the flash as well. I've got myself, but Veto will not get blinded by Phoenix whatsoever. Raze once again suffers at the hands of Veto. The only thing she possibly has going for her is the fact that the Broombot can still see him and find him, but of course it won't deal damage to him. The satchels deal no damage, but not only that, they don't even push him back either, so you won't be able to get him off the bomb. The grenade, it's going to do no damage whatsoever. And of course, as I'm sure you've all seen by now, Raze's ultimate does not kill Veto. Reyna is going to be a pretty easy one. You can see that he will not get nearsighted, obviously. I think the only other thing that someone could even potentially think is that he doesn't give a soul orb when you kill him in his ult. But as you can see right there, he definitely gives soul orbs. With Veto, who's only going to interact with Sage's wall and slow, obviously. So when he pops his ultimate, completely unfazed by the slow, but he cannot walk through Sage's wall. It also sounds like that he doesn't actually give the information of walking through the slow. You know how normally when you walk through a Sage slow, it makes noise and tells Sage that you're walking through it? You can see right there, that is actually not going to be the case with Veto. Doesn't play any sound, or well, you can hear his footsteps, but you know the noise I'm talking about. Or in case you don't, normally when you walk through a Sage slow, it sounds like that. Taking a look at Skye now, and I think the most fascinating one to me is that you don't get the information off of her blind. So if I pop that there, not only does it not blind him, but you don't even know that he's there. And I think that's the most like insane part of this ultimate, is that these like revealing abilities that should tell you that he's there just simply don't. And if we try and dog him as well, you can see him in the dog, but he doesn't take any damage to it and he does not get stunned by it. And then his ultimate, I think the Seeker would go to him. So yeah, it goes to him, but it does not nearsight him. Sova into Veto's ultimate is going to be pretty cooked, I believe, like we saw with Fade's Eye. You cannot recon him. You can see he flashes there, so he should be getting reconned, but he just doesn't. Same thing with the shock darts. Shock darts are not going to deal any damage to him. Someone did actually ask if he was going to be invisible to Sova's drone, and no, you can definitely still see him, but if you try and tag him, he won't get revealed. And then finally, Sova's ultimate. You can see right there. It definitely doesn't damage him, and I should actually check if you see him through walls. I mean, we've seen so far that it shouldn't, but if I try and ultimate him, yeah, you wouldn't even know that you're hitting him if you got him through a wall. Tejo's up next, and he is going to feel useless into Veto's evolution. Obviously, you can see him, but you can't suppress him or reveal him. You cannot stun him, even if you drop both missiles right on his head. Let's have a look. No damage, of course. I'm still taken aback by that sound that he makes, but regardless. Then we've got Tejo's Armageddon as well, and he can just stand there. He doesn't care. Armageddon comes on through. No damage. Got some Veto on Veto action now. If you try and place the trap down on him, let's have a look. The trap will activate like most other trips, but it won't actually hit him, so he will not get tethered and he will not get decayed. I think that's the only thing to test here. The teleport, I mean, that's not going to do anything. The interceptor won't do anything here either. But yeah, Veto's trap cannot hit Veto in his ultimate. Taking a look at Viper now, it actually does give a few different status effects. So first of all, if we try and molly him, you can see there, he is not going to get vulnerable. Even I would if I stepped in that, but Veto does not. If I put him inside one of my smokes, you can see he is not going to get decayed at all. So he's completely fine inside the Viper smokes. One thing some people were wondering with Veto's evolution is if you would see any better in Viper's ultimate. So I've already used my ultimate here. And no, you don't see any better in the ultimate, but you are going to avoid that decay effect. Yeah, you can't see any better. We'll do Vyse now, and I'm going to get him to run through a whole little gauntlet. So we've got a flash here. I'll put a wall here, and then we'll shock down a razor vine there as well. So now let's pop that. You can see he runs through that unslowed. Wait, that is sort of interesting. So he does set the wall off, in case you're wondering, and he's not going to be able to walk through that wall, of course. And he doesn't get damaged or slowed by the razor vines, but he does make the sound effect. So he does make the sound of walking through the razor vines, which is inconsistent with the interaction with the Sage's slow. I'm not sure if that means that one of those is bugged or what the case is there. And then of course Vyse's flash as well. It doesn't blind him, and you will not get the information off of Vyse's flash. And then if you have your ultimate on Vyse, you try and hit Veto with Steel Garden. Let's have a look at what happens here. Doesn't get hit, and you can still use this gun completely fine. He shoots so fast in that ultimate as well, it sounds crazy. Looking at Waylay now, and despite how good Hindered as a status effect is, it is not going to hit him at all. So you know how normally they'll be slow-mo if they jump. You see he jumps there. Doesn't care at all. Same thing with Waylay's ultimate. Simply just doesn't care. Last but not least, we have Yoru. So of course, he will not get blinded by his flashes. You can see there. You can see here as well. Even if he shoots the Yoru clone, he's not going to get blinded by Yoru's clone. I think I even saw some people asking if you could see Yoru's ultimate while in Veto's evolution. So I will quickly double check that here. Let's see, Yoru goes into his ultimate right in front of me. And no, you cannot see Yoru in Veto's evolution.